So, this guy here, the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, he made this speech recently, and this guy, Ollie London, pointed out, said British Prime Minister Keir Starmer admits illegal migration to the UK has been by design, blaming his predecessors. This happened by design, not by accident. Immigration policies were reformed deliberately. And here's what he said about this.
Is an explanation. Because a failure on this scale isn't just bad luck. It isn't a global trend or taking your eye off the ball. No, this is a different order of failure. This happened by design, not accident. Policies were reformed deliberately to liberalise immigration. Brexit was used for that purpose, to turn Britain into a one-nation experiment in open borders. Global Britain. Remember that slogan? That is what they meant. A policy with no support and which they then pretended wasn't happening.
So, that's an interesting take that he made. And almost sounds similar to what we stated about how these open border policies flooding in these people seems exactly like this kind of globalized social experiment. How if we just drag people in, we bring them in, we dangle a carrot in front of their nose, we promise, a decent job and a house and a roof over their head and give them shelter and whatnot, then they'll be part of the society. Without any documentation, without any contribution, without any acknowledgement, or any sort of notion to these communities to help retaliate of how many people are coming into the country, pouring in through migration. And it seems this kind of globalized experiment, how it's happening in the UK, it's happening here in Canada, it's happening in the United States, particularly these areas. And it's not just one nation. It's not just one nation that's dealing with border crises right now. Wonder why that is. It almost seems like it's done intentionally by this force. Now, this is what Keir Starmer used to say about immigration when he was member of parliament. So before he even ran for office as prime minister, this is what he used to say.
Tonight. And the Leave Remain divide goes with it. That divide has cut across families, communities, regions, the country. And we need to let that divide go. Leave Remain ends tonight. We need to make the wider case on immigration. We welcome migrants. We don't scapegoat them. Low wages, poor housing, poor public services are not the fault of migrants and people who've come here. They're political failure. Political failure. So we have to make the case for the benefits of migration, the benefits of free movement. I want people in this country to be able to go and work abroad in Europe. And I want people in Europe to be able to come and continue to work here. I want families to be able to live together, whether that's in Europe or here. And I want people in this country, in the United Kingdom, to be able to go and study in Europe, just as they can now, and people in Europe to be able to come and study here. We have to make the case for freedom of movement, and we have to make it strongly.
We have to make the case of freedom of movement, which is why we deliberately made it possible that these people just pour into communities, that we further this cause of global migration, which has turned into some sort of humanoid exploitation done by a globalized regime to influx populations like this. And again, as I've always stated, I don't blame the immigrant. I don't blame people being thrown into this because they're being exploited the same way we're being exploited through this. And it is a political movement. But is Keir Starmer actually doing anything about it? No. No. He's just saying the right words. He's saying the right phrases. He knows exactly the intentions of this. And he's following along with the intentions because that's exactly what his masters, these billionaires and the WEF are resulting to. This is what they want. They want open borders. They want to restrict countries and their sovereignty. They want to open it up so that we just push populations towards each other for better control. So that we can exploit more people, so we can detriment, sovereign countries and their economies. So here, here's this guy, Jim Ferguson. He runs this organization called Freedom Train International. He runs it in the UK. I think he used to be a member of parliament, but he got kicked out. And he states that the globalized plan exposed. Illegals are being flooded into the USA, UK, Canada, and Europe, and many other nations on purpose. It's done by design. And he links to this video here that I'm about to show you exactly the true intentions of why this is happening. And why people like Keir Starmer, why Justin Trudeau, why Joe Biden, why Kamala Harris, why all these individuals know intentionally that this is a risk factor, that this is jeopardizing our security, and that our borders are getting weaker and weaker through this process, but they're doing it intentionally to serve their higher masters.
Democrat open borders plan to entrench single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
So that is amazing. That's amazing that they did that video, put it out there. That was Western Landsman, I do believe. And that is the true point of that, is that this is done intentionally to rule over these populations. And we have stated the numerous theories on why they allowed open borders, why they allowed people just to pour in without any documentation, without any legal process, without the ability to check on these individuals. We don't know anything about them, let alone even know where the countries they come from. But we pour these people in. They're smuggling in more people. There's human trafficking cases in BC right now, and they're completely being ignored because they want the flooding these people to correlate with our population for mass control. So that these governments, like Congress here in the White House, or the Parliament, or wherever location may be, can dominate over those people. And like I said, I don't blame the migrant because they are being as much exploited as people here are. We are being exploited the same way they are, and we are complacent on that. They just happen to be thrown into the mist. They're dangled a carrot in front of their nose to say, hey, come into our country. We'll give you some sort of job placement. We're not going to give you a living wage. We're going to exploit that for slave wages, which is another reason why we have high immigration. And we'll give you temporary housing. We'll give you this credit card prepaid with $1,000. We'll treat you like kings and royalty to discredit our own citizens and then cause chaos on the streets, cause further divide, and then allow ourselves to contain more power over the individuals coming into the country. So it is a massive globalized scam. And just like the movie Network in the 1970s told us, they don't view countries as countries. They don't view sovereignty. They don't see border security. They don't see borders. All they see is a handful of billionaires that really run things on Earth here and the international transfer of dollars. And in order to do that, in order to contain their power, these globalist warmongers have to come together and take these countries, take these populations, and shove them into other territories for massive control. Because it's easier to control mass populations in little landscapes than it is to control 298 countries individually. And that's why they're doing this. That's why they're doing this. And it's going to continue to do this until we actually get permanent measures and we actually have people that stand up and defend our sovereignty, defend the national security of this issue. It's not the fact that we are against immigration. I'm for immigration. I'm for people coming into this country and contributing, just the same way our ancestors did. But it has to be done in a manner that is both respectful to the people of Canada or to the people of America or to the people of the UK, and in a legal binding process. Make it easier for someone to go through legally so that we have a stance, we have accuracy, we have accountability to know how many people are coming in, what exactly their method of coming into this country, why exactly they're here for, and what they can contribute. Because yes, some people could be doctors, some people could be helping the skilled trades, but there needs to be some sort of accountability. Because right now it's just flooding populations, and it's just devastating all communities. And they're scrambling right now to figure out what the hell to do, because they don't have the services to help their own people, let alone people that are coming in now that are disrupting their population. And now they got to figure out how to help those people. So it's just absolute chaos. It's absolutely done purposely. And surprisingly, the UK Prime Minister pointed this out of all people.